You know those quiet kinds of anime? The ones that don't scream their message at you, but instead, whisper it gently? Like, hey, it's okay to slow down. It's okay to feel things. Well, Frieren Beyond Journey's End is exactly that kind of anime at first glance. It's a fantasy. There's magic, ancient ruins, a party of adventurers who defeated the Demon King like, literally in episode 1. But no, don't let the genre fool you. This isn't about flashy spells or epic battles. It's about time, and memory, and the way we hold on to people even when they're long gone. Let me tell you how Frieren broke my heart softly, and why I love it so much for that. So the story starts with the ending, like, the literal ending of an epic journey. Frieren, our elf mage protagonist, and her party have already defeated the big bad Demon King. They're back in the capital, celebrated as heroes. There's hugging, fireworks, awkward pats on the back. It's all very sweet, but Frieren, she doesn't really get it. You see, she's an elf, and elves live a long time, like hundreds of years, and to her, that 10-year journey with her party, it felt like a short vacation, a blink, a nap between tea breaks, and that's the first little heartbreak, because the others are human, and to them, those 10 years meant everything. Hyder, the boozy priest who always teased her. Ison, the gentle dwarf warrior, and Himmel, the hero, the cinnamon roll, the himbo, the man who smiled like the sun itself. He was in love with her, and she didn't realize. Not until he died. After Himmel's funeral under a sky glowing with falling meteors, Frieren starts to cry. And it's not dramatic. She doesn't sob, she doesn't wail. She just doesn't understand why she's crying, why it hurts, why she suddenly feels this gaping hole in her chest. Because here's the thing, when you live for 1,000 years, people come and go. A human lifespan is a chapter. Or maybe just a paragraph in your story. But suddenly Himmel wasn't just a paragraph. He was a whole book she never read, and now it's gone out of print. So she sets out on a new journey. Not to fight monsters, not to save the world, but to understand humans. To understand what he meant, what they all meant. And that's the real story of Frieren. Okay, let's talk about magic. Yes, this is technically a fantasy anime. There are mages and spells and monsters and cursed forests, but it never feels like that's the point. In one episode, Frieren teaches a spell that summons a tiny flower. Useless, right? Like, 0 combat value. You can't stab a demon with a daisy. But then this quiet little village boy who lost his mom, he sees that flower and starts crying because his mom used to make those. And for a second, just 1 second, she is there again. In his memory, in the air, in the soft shimmer of magic. And that's where Frieren's magic hits different. It's not about destruction, it's about remembrance. About holding on to fleeting things, even if it's just for a moment. Let's talk about her new travel buddies. Because yes, Frieren doesn't journey alone. First up is Verna Sharp, no-nonsense mage who became Frieren's apprentice. She's kind of the mom friend of the group, even though she's, like, 17, always cleaning up after Frieren's magical experiments. Always cooking, always quietly watching. And then there's Stark, a clumsy swordsman with a heart of gold and a massive fear of failure. He blushes a lot, he screams a lot, he probably trips on his sword twice a week. But together, they're adorable. They bicker. They bond, they grow, and Frieren, she begins to change slowly, quietly. Like a mountain shifting over centuries, she starts smiling more, talking more, listening more. Because for the first time in centuries, she's not just passing through people's lives. She's living in them. One of my favorite things about Frieren is how soft it is. Like, this show could be loud, it could be flashy, it could go, oh look at this sad elf lady learning to love again. But no, it gives you silence, moments of stillness, clouds rolling across the sky. A cup of tea growing cold, a memory, half remembered, tucked in a spellbook. It trusts you to feel things, to notice the little changes, and somehow, that makes it hit even harder. There's a moment, episode 10 I think, where Frieren finds a forgotten flower in a cave. A flower Himmel once gave her, and she just stands there for like 30 seconds, no music, no dialogue, just wind, and in that silence, I cried because that's what this show does. It sneaks up on you with kindness, and then it gently cracks your heart open. So why should you watch Frieren Beyond Journey's End? Because it's not just about magic. It's not just about elves or swords or demons. It's about time, about how we waste it, how we cherish it, how we forget to tell people we love them until it's too late. It's about grief that doesn't scream, about regret that simmers, about healing that takes decades and still isn't done. But most of all, it's about choosing to love, even when you know it'll end, even when you know they'll be gone long before you, even when you're an elf with 1,000 years ahead of you. You still choose to care, and that's the kind of magic I want to believe in. So go watch it, and bring tissues, soft ones. Okay, I'm done crying now. Maybe, if you like this cozy little ramble, give it a like, or just send it telepathically to your favorite anime watching friend. Either works. And hey, if you've ever had a Himmel in your life, someone who mattered more than you realized, maybe send them a message, even if it's been years, even if it's just a daisy. Thanks for listening. See you next episode. Bye bye.